Hi there! So, it is a new year, 2024, and it's been a little while since I went through summoning, and specifically about summoning happy hour. So I thought that I would go through this now, just because we've played a little bit longer, the game is in its new year, and you'll see that we've got dragons like the spore dragons currently available to summon. But the question is, what should you be summoning on summoning happy hour? If you're a player at my point in the game, it doesn't really matter what you summon because you've got tons of different options. But in this case, I've picked Plasma, Spore Plasma, purely because they are currently a dragon that we can use in the quests. We can get free insignias, maybe get some free orbs for the dragon as well. But that doesn't mean that Spore Plasma is the best option if you are someone that is trying to prioritize a strong dragon, because the Spore dragons, well, they're just not that great. So if you were a new player that was looking to summon a dragon, I would say don't summon Spore Plasma unless you are really desperate for extra, like a few extra insignias. Some of the better options for a new player, for instance, let's talk about a brand new player that really wants to be able to do their league battles, that maybe they're struggling because they've over leveled, or just in general, they just need a dragon at least to summon straight away that they can actually do pretty good stuff with. And the 3 starter dragons, the easiest legendary VIPs to get your hands on, would be these 3. And these are the ones that are easy to get, but also can actually do you quite well for the early game, especially in the form of Hexed Vampire, Sinful Vampire, or Blood God. I actually prefer Sinful or Hexed, and Hexed, she actually hard carried me in my own journey to being able to beat league battles. And you'll see that she's level 45, fully ranked up. That's about all that I needed to be able to clear all my league battles, even though I had a really over-leveled account at the time. Because league opponents, if you didn't know, they scale with your player level, and so the higher your player level is, the harder the opponents are going to get until they cap at level 40. But I would say that Hexed was an amazing pickup. Sinful is also really good early game. Things sort of change with these 2 vampires in particular, Sinful and Blood God later on, but these are good options for brand new players that don't have any other legendary VIP options. And if you want to know how you can get orbs for these dragons, realistically the best way to do it is going to be via trading, because sometimes out of ads you will have ads that can give vampire orbs, but if you don't have any ads that are going to give those to you, there's no chance of you getting a vampire egg, then what you can do is you literally just go into your alliance chat. I'm assuming at this point you have an alliance, maybe you don't, which is a different story entirely, but just go into your alliance chat and say, hey, does anyone have 1 trade of Hexed Orbs? And you can explain to them it's because you just need 1 trade of Hexed Orbs. The reason being that during summon happy hours, you are allowed to use up to 99 Joker Orbs on a dragon. So this means that if you get a dragon like High Arcana Judgment, that's a 500 orb dragon, which means that you would need 401 orbs of High Arcana Judgment, and then you could use 99 Joker Orbs to finish her off, which we've got the Joker Orbs, but we'd need like another 400 orbs nearly to even be able to summon her using Jokers during Summon Happy Hour. And so then if we scroll down to Legendary Dragons, some of the legends are going to be like legendary VIPs, others won't be, and Arcana Full, for example, is a 200 orb dragon. And so you can kind of see it here, but Arcana Full, we can summon him because we've got 99 Jokers and we have more than 100 orbs for him, but because he's a 200 orb dragon, you'd need at least 101 orbs of Arcana Full first. So that means if you were going to trade for Arcana Full to be able to summon him, and you currently had 0 orbs, you would have to go into an alliance and trade 101 orbs of Arcana Full to then use Jokers to summon him. So that is very, very annoying and difficult, and you need other things to be able to trade to get that value out of dragons like Arcana Full. That being said, Arcana Full is a very good dragon. So if you did happen to have 101 orbs of Arcana Full and you could summon him during your Summon Happy Hour, I would suggest in probably a lot of cases to do it. But if we are talking about the vampires in particular, so any of the vampires are 100 orb dragons, apart from, of course, the High Voodoo Vampire. He's the heroic, we forget about him. But all of the other vampires you'll see are 100 orb dragons. So you can, if you have a single orb of any of these dragons, then use 99 Joker orbs to summon them. So that's all that you need to do. Just one trade with someone and then you can summon the vampire. Now the other vampires like Wrathful, Usurper, Greedy, Gluttonous, you can actually use them in certain Masters arenas. But I feel like they get better once you're already in Masters. They're fully perked up, fully leveled up. So that's the reason I don't really recommend them to new players. If you're a longer standing player and you just need their elements, they actually can be pretty good because, I mean, they're high category dragons and Leech will always be good pretty much. I guess, unless you're against high Harpy Plasma, am I right? But this is the reason why vampires are suggested to new players in particular. One, because Leech is really good, and secondly, because they're so easy to get compared to the other legendary VIPs. But, like I mentioned about Fool, the difference really is the fact that some of the legendary VIPs you may get better use out of, such as Arcana Fool, who has the Arcana Absorption skill, which in some cases will probably be better than the Vampire skill. Maybe not always, but that is a very, very good ability. But to know exactly which one you'd want on your team, 1, you'd be looking at elements, 2, you'd be looking at skills, and 3, just in general how good the dragon is. Arcana Death is another really good one, because again, they have Arcana Absorption. It mainly comes down to what their skill is. Now, who would be a really, really good dragon to pick up? Well, one that you could possibly get your hands on, for instance, would be the current Divine Pass dragon, Beauregard. I mean, if you could get your hands on Beauregard by getting enough orbs and then summoning him during the Summon Happy Hour, completely, say, free to play, that would be an incredibly nice pickup because of his guard skill alone. So Beauregard would be another really good dragon. Essentially, to be able to pick a really good legendary VIP to summon, and we're saying legendary VIP because I don't really recommend summoning heroics unless you are like brand new and it is like your first few days of playing and you happen to be here and have enough jokers. Outside of that, I don't really recommend heroics, but if you're looking at legendary VIPs, you need to know or have some sort of baseline understanding of how good each of the VIP dragons are. And I have put together a VIP list before. It wasn't fully in depth, and I do want to make a new one. But for instance, I could tell you right now, Eternal dragons like Phoenix Eternal, they're probably not going to be the best option out there for you. So if you were looking to trade 101 orbs to then be able to summon the dragon, it's probably not a good option. But if you have a dragon where you just happen to already have like, I don't know, 150, 200 orbs of it nearly, and then you can summon it during this Summon Happy Hour, Phoenix Eternal could be fine. Just don't waste too many resources trying to get it. But you can see in my list of dragons to summon here, I've got dragons such as Redemption Conquest, and Redemption Conquest is one of the reincarnation ones. They're also decent pickups. You could, in fact, summon one of these, but he's a 200 orb dragon. Altered Plasma, it's a plasma, I wouldn't recommend it. Another Eternal dragon in the form of Bisexual, don't recommend it. Quantum Flash, his skill is Atomic Ace, don't recommend it. There are a few legendary VIPs that look really cool, they are really cool, but I just cannot recommend them as summon dragons. Secret Plasma, same thing, he's a plasma, don't really recommend it. Arcana Hermit is another Arcana Absorption dragon, and honestly, Plant/Nature Primer is actually pretty good, so he is a good pickup as well if you ever go for him. But he's one of those cases where it would very much be on a case-by-case basis based on the dragons and what their secondary skills are for any of the 200 ones. Then we've got dragons like Corrupted Sea. The Corrupted Titans are incredibly difficult to get, so although you could in theory try and go for Corrupted Legend or Corrupted Chaos, I don't think it's really achievable for brand new players unless you're pay to win and you have tons of stuff to trade out. But Corrupted Sea, wouldn't recommend going for a dragon like him. Redemption Wolf, he is actually the No Remorse Redemption Dragon. I wouldn't recommend those for new players either. Redemption Brutality, same thing, No Remorse, wouldn't recommend you to go out of your way to summon him during a Summon Happy Hour. Arcana Chariot is an Arcana Absorption, so yes, you could go with her. But it's one of those things where it's just so extensive for each of them that it would be a very long-winded video. Then we've got the Tower Dragons. Don't really recommend Berserk. These Arcanas that have the Berserk ability, I don't think they are that great overall. So I wouldn't pick one of those. Ascended Sage, Divine Intervention, not the better of the Ascended Dragon, so I wouldn't really recommend using her either. You know, the more I'm going through, say, my set of dragons, the more I'm thinking, hey, there's actually tons of dragons that I wouldn't pick for players, amazingly enough. Again, Divine Intervention, wouldn't recommend Praetor either. Then we got a few of the Corrupteds. Then we come to dragons like Dual Parliament. And although Dual Parliament definitely has her uses, this is a dragon that, again, I wouldn't recommend going out of your way to try and acquire the orbs for, to summon during a summon happy hour as like your first dragon. It'd be one of those where if you happen to get 101 orbs from it from something else, like a random event, maybe a Wizard's Hollow, then sure. But other than that, not really a great idea. Quantum Gravity, Atomic Ace, not recommended. Grace Karma, and any Karmas in general. Again, these are all 200 orb or 250 orb dragons for some of them. And Karmas, they're always going to have a place because, I mean, their RNG, their block is random, and either they can be like the most meh dragons on your team, or they can be like the most busted, overpowered thing ever released. Now, Karmas, I think there is, if you can get enough orbs to be able to summon one, you could use them. Are they the best for a brand new player? I think they're not very practical for a brand new player because, again, they will be incredibly difficult to get the orbs for compared to, say, you know, Sinful, Hexed. That's the thing. If we're talking generally Karmas compared to some other dragons like the Walking Dead dragons, then yeah, they're going to be easier to get on average than the Walking Dead dragons. But compared to the vampire options, which are the go-tos at the moment, I think it's just a little bit too much effort and too much resources going out if you want them. Now, that being said, I've gone through lots of different types of dragons now. All the Karmas are the same, all the Eternals are the same pretty much. One thing that people always ask me, especially when we're talking about summon happy hours and empower happy hours, is in particular, should you be trading out your heroic dragon orbs? Because, like, if you have High Arcana Judgment orbs, for example, they are a heroic VIP, they are one of the best dragons in the game, skinless. But the thing is, since you need 500 orbs for them, or 401 during a summon happy hour, is it actually worth keeping them, or should you just be trading them out for like a legendary VIP to instantly summon? I have to say that if you were going to really try your best to like insta-summon a legendary VIP, like, I don't know, Arcana Fool or something, you could in theory trade some of your heroic VIP orbs out, like, I don't know, High Corrupted Time if you don't want to use him, or High Void Eternal. But I can't say I think it's a good idea. Main reason being that, I'm not sure if you know, but if you go to try and set up a trade, that's not what I want to do, but if you go to set up a trade, you can only trade heroics for heroics in-game. Or if you like select a legendary, like if we're going to select via augmented, you can only trade other legendaries in-game. The only way that you'd be able to trade, say, High Arcana Judgment for, I don't know, the Walking Dead dragon would be if you do cross trades. And so what that means is, say, in the first trade, they might go, okay, let's trade out, where is she? High Arcana Judgment, and the other person will give you a random heroic like High Arcane. So you'll do this trade, and then the second trade, it will be that they'll trade you back the Walking Dead dragon. So well, I know that this is the opposite way around. You're requesting the Hadge and you donate that orb. So let's say it's the other way around. So then next trade after that one, it would be, say, well, let's clear this one because I don't want to keep doing that trade. Then the next one, you would request something like Boulder or just some random legendary, and then you would donate The Walking Dead. Do I have any orbs? I think I've got Negan orbs. So then if you were going to trade out Negan for High Arcana Judgment, then you'd have to do a trade like this. Problem is, you will be wasting a lot of essence if you do this with someone, and it's actually really easy to scam people in terms of requiring ratios, people getting confused, which is why the only way that you can really do this is, say, if you enter, like say, the Dragon City trading section in my Discord server, or the official Dragon City server, or r/Dragon City or the Dragon City Facebook groups, and make sure that when you do make your post that you make it very clear exactly what you are trading and what you're expecting, and also who is handling the essence, because you'll see that if I was to do a trade like this, it will cost me 2 essence, but if I accept a trade from someone else, it only costs 1 essence. So lots of people are really low on essence count as well, so if you are ever going to look to do any sort of cross trading, which I don't recommend anyway, but if you really wanted to try and super, you know, trade out some, like, I don't know, high void eternal orbs that you're never going to use for a really good LVIP and you're getting a good ratio for it, you could in theory do that. Again, I don't ever recommend doing cross trades, so if you're going to ask me should you do it, my answer is no, generally. But if you do really want to push and get the best dragon possible because you really love it and you really want to take it to like level 60 as soon as you possibly can, or whatever you're going to take them to, you do have the option of doing it, but you have to be careful about it, you have to be smart about it, and make sure that you trade one by one, because there are so many people in my DMs every single day where instead of them doing like the heroic trade, then the legend trade, then the heroic trade, then the legend trade one by one, instead they'll do all the heroic trades and then the person will just disconnect, leave the alliance, block them, and there you go, you've lost all of your Hadge orbs and now you feel like an idiot. But just in general, when it comes to High Arcana Judgment, I think that you're better off keeping her orbs in general because she is very, very good. The other dragon that this will also apply to, if I even have any orbs of her, which I don't know, yeah, I've got 100, would be Norn. Norn is also incredibly good. High Ascended Supreme, he is also very good when skinned. So for me, I'm free to play. I didn't get his skin. So this guy isn't actually one of the better options for the heroic VIPs. In fact, I'd say he's on the weaker side for them. But when he's skinned up, my goodness, is he crazy. So I would say you got to take that into account if you're ever going to trade his orbs out as well. Like I could use these 34 orbs and maybe trade them for some legendary VIPs if I really wanted to. But ideally, if you're ever going to trade legendary VIPs, like if you want 101 orbs of Arcana Death, you should have your own legendary VIP orbs to trade out. And one good thing that is going on right now where you can get those orbs from is actually the current collection and all of the ongoing collections that we've had, because you know, out of these boxes you can sometimes get orbs of like the plasma dragons, and trust me, people out there will trade like spore plasma orbs right now because of the ongoing quests or some of the other plasmas. They will trade those for things like Arcana Death or Arcana Chariot, or they'll trade them out for like Ascended Deity, dragons like that. So if you get some orbs like this from event chests and it's like altered plasma and you're not really going to use him because he's not that great, you could try and look for trades with people like me that just want to collect new dragons. So you're getting a good dragon out of it because you're getting, you know, you're getting an actual good skilled dragon that you can actually use in a team. I get back a dragon that I just want to be able to summon during the next summon happy hour. So I know that was quite a lot of info to go through, and it might be a little bit confusing, but you know, you can always ask me directly, or you can enter the Dragon City chat, not the trading channel, but the Dragon City chat in general, ask people more questions about it. And I do want to put together a full, more in-depth VIP list updated for 2024 soon as well, so that might help you for the next summon happy hour. The other thing I do want to go through in terms of summon happy hours is the fact that, especially with VIPs, legendary VIPs, we have collection dragons, and like if you check your codex collection, we do have specific collections that you can try and work on, collections that you might have finished, but with the vampire families in particular, you can get Sinful and Blood God from these families, and by that it means you need 4 other vampires, you collect those, and then you'll get that dragon as the reward dragon. And this is actually what I did, and I managed to do it very, very quickly as a new player. I actually just summoned these vampires really quickly during summon happy hours, and I even skipped one of them with gems. Now, do I recommend wasting your gems like this generally? No, but if you were looking to super powerhouse farm as many vampires as possible for any reason and get them free from the vampire family, you could, in theory. I did it just because I wanted to collect as much as possible. It was not a smart use of gems during summon happy hours to speed these up and summon another dragon. I think generally those gems can be better used on something else. but that doesn't mean that you can't do it if you really want to get like Sinful and Blood God by yourself without having to rely on everyone else, because maybe you've got orbs for the other vampires, you just happen to have them, and you've got enough jokers to summon the rest, because like, how many jokers do I have? I've got like 1,563. I could go and summon tons of dragons that were 100 orb dragons if I really wanted to, but I think generally, if you are brand new in particular, your best thing to do is just to summon one singular legendary VIP, and then you'll have maybe one breedable in your team, and possibly you've got the heroic from the heroic race, so you don't have to worry about summoning a heroic, because you can just use high aura sphere, for instance. So like, let me just think of a team. Like, if we go to a league team, just as an example team that you might have your, like, as a new player that could actually work for at least a little bit of time. Let's just think about this in a practical sense. So we've got Hex, we've got High Aura Sphere. What else would we pick up? What's an easy breedable that people go for? I know that we've got Kratos. Like, we've got Kratos that someone could go with as a breedable, but he's only got 2 elements, so screw that. Let's just assume that someone's been breeding and they've actually got a cosmic detonation, for instance. And so then if we pick this team, well, that's actually not too bad. Obviously, we've got the triple flame, but outside of that, just for a really early game team, maybe you've got 1 empowerment star on your high aura sphere, or you will do as well. You could easily clear some of your league battles with just a team of dragons like this, like, easily. And you've got a decent range of elements, so you'll have things that you can crit against. It's just you only have 1 ancient world element with this team, which is the only thing that might be a little bit concerning depending on what you go against, but at least you got happy on high aura sphere. But this is just a very vague-ish random throw in there of a team that you might expect a new player to be able to get, and I could easily see a player having a team like this within the first month, easily. Maybe not at these levels, because like Cosmic Detonation is quite high, and maybe not fully ranked up straight away, but definitely I could see a team like this being easily obtainable if you just played the heroic race, for instance. But I guess the main thing to consider during summon happy hours and power happy hours, and just with your gameplay in general, is there are the best options out there, which are always going to be dragons like High Arcana Judgment, maybe the heroic version of the Walking Dead / Guard dragons that's going to be coming up. And so those are going to be the best options possible in theory. But they're not practical for a lot of players unless you are super pay to win, you're willing to spend tons of money on dragon orbs that you then trade out with people. So you've got to think about what is realistic when you're actually looking to play the game, what you can actually get realistically, and how much effort you are going to be willing to put into, you know, finding trades, because sometimes there are people that will do trades with you, but you have to find them. So your best way of doing that is to post in the Dragon City trading channels everywhere. So that's Discord, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere you can. But I would just say, make sure you pick something that is practical, which is vampires, or it's going to be legendary VIPs that you happen to get orb drops of from recent events. Get a breedable, and ideally you'd use like the heroic race heroic, or you might just get lucky. Like in these events, you can get random heroics from those. We had high treasure available through ad watching recently. So there are tons of ways to get regular heroics. You don't need to be going out of your way to summon basic heroics during Summon Happy Hour. If you can summon a heroic VIP though, summon Hadge. I feel like a Hadge simp these days, but it's just because Hadge is very good, especially for skinless free-to-play players. Like these two abilities, mainly Arcana Absorption, the High Cat, they're the main things that sell her. And then the same thing with Norn, just that reincarnation on a heroic VIP, it's just nutty. But anyway, I hope that made sense for my ramblings on these Summon Happy Hours. I have made videos on this before that are a little bit more basic and not quite as in-depth with specific legendary VIPs, but I'm just giving you like the general honest opinions on these dragons, which ones are practical, which ones are worth it, and which ones maybe you should avoid because they will be hell to get. Like the Walking Deads, you're probably not going to get those unless you're pay to win. If you are paid to win, well, the world is your oyster. If you're free to play, well, you got to play by the rules, and the rules are that you will get nothing if you don't have anything to give out value-wise. So I hope that you have some nice orbs that you can trade out for other people if you're going for like a 100 orb summon or a 200 orb summon, and if you are, best of luck. Make sure you don't get scammed on the ratios with trading. But I guess let me know what you're summoning during your own summon happy hour, because my Spore Plasma over here, she's looking very pretty. She may not be very battle intensive, but she is a pretty girl nonetheless.